Hey everyone, how's it going? It's 2018, so Happy New Year everyone. I just wanted to make a quick prediction video for the ban list that's expected to be coming soon this January. Of course, a lot of other channels have been making their prediction videos a lot earlier because they thought that the ban list would come out sometime at the end of December, but of course that didn't happen. Anyways, it's 1 AM right now, January the 1st of 2018, but of course for all of you guys around the world, it might be different times because over here in Australia, we have a completely different time zone than a lot of the rest of the world here. So I'm just going to go through this ban list. We're just going to be going down the list here, so maybe I'll just put it on the screen of the actual ban list itself, so that you guys can actually see what I'm talking about. But we'll just be going down the list and then I'll add in some extra cards at the end of the video. But before I start this video, I do encourage you guys to actually comment down your opinions on what you want to see being hit. But without further ado, let's get started. So starting off with towers, I want it back to either 1 or something, just test things out, you know, because OCG has it at 3 and cliffforts haven't been making a particular impact on the game or anything like that. However, on TCG it is on big demand, so maybe it might shift some things. That's something I do want to see, a little bit of a shift in the meta, some big changes, but the thing is I don't really see much happening. Just test out towers, bring it back. Chaos Emperor Dragon, well, BLS came back to 2. Let's try out Chaos Emperor Dragon. Now of course they're two completely different cards, however Chaos Emperor Dragon is still not as broken as most people might think. I still think bringing it back at 1 just to test things out, I think that would be pretty fun to see. Moving on, Stratos. It's become an annoying meme, and just bring back Elemental Hero Stratos so that people would stop complaining about it. Moving on, Shrift. Necros needs some kind of comeback. I want to see more prevalence with that particular deck. It's definitely one of my most favourite decks to play. Just bring Shrift back to 1, just to test the waters. And speaking of Shrift, why not just talk about Bryonic and Unicorn as well, because you know those two cards also need to come back to 2. They're both limited. It just improves the consistency of the deck a little, and I just want to see Necros have some kind of play. They didn't even get link support. Moving on, we have Tribe Infecting Virus. In the OCG, they got it back, so maybe we could test it out with TCG. It's just a potential thing. We have Yugioh. People have been talking about that card potentially coming back as well. However, I don't really care whatsoever, but it's just something I want to mention that maybe could come back, hopefully without an errata. I don't want too many cards getting erratas. And then we have El Shadow Construct. Now again, just like Necros, I want to see some kind of Shadow comeback. BAs have been getting more popular, and the thing is, Shadows and Necros were actually introduced in the same format as BAs were, so why is it that BAs are getting all the attention? Why not give Shadow some attention? Why not give Necros some attention? You know, bring it back. Let's make things a little more fun again. But moving on, we have Harpy's Feather Dust and Heavy Storm. Back row isn't that big anymore, and hand traps are becoming more of a prevalent thing. Not to mention, a lot of monster effects like Tri-Gate Wizard have been getting popular that can easily just negate cards like Heavy Storm or Harpy's Feather Duster. I also feel like these cards are great to bait out certain cards, like Tri-Gate Wizard of course, but overall back row isn't even that popular. Moving on, we have Monster Reborn, maybe just to test the waters, bring it back to 1, we'll see what happens, just the personal preference. Solemn Judgment, I feel like I want to get it back at 1, it's a fan favourite card. Solemn Scolding is played, why? Because evenly matched is becoming a big deal, so I feel like bringing back Solemn Judgment at 1, just to test the things out, just to see it combat against evenly matched, will be pretty interesting to see. Then we have Clifford Scout. So Clifford Scout, just like Towers, I want to see Clifford Scout come back as well. It's a fan favorite card, and let's just be a little bold, you know, bring it back to 3. That'll be pretty interesting. Moving on, we have Dark Arm Dragons. So it's 2018, let's just bring back 2 dads, you know, or maybe even 3 dads. Why not do that? It's really going to be interesting. Hasn't been making an impact at 1. It's barely playing in any decks now, so why not? Moving on, we have Graph. Graph, I feel like you guys can actually bring that back to 3, as long as you ban Seer. I feel like that'll be a little more balanced. I don't like Seer at all. Seer is one of the most annoying cards I have to deal with, constantly looping with Dante, but Graph you can have at 3, I don't mind. Moving on, we have Insector, Hornet and Dragonfly. Just bring it back. The deck isn't fast or consistent to begin with in this particular meta, so why not bring it back? And the thing is, Insectors are getting link support, so why not? Just bring it back to 2 or something to test the waters. Like I said, I want things to be a little more interesting in this particular meta. It's 2018, be a little more experimental. It's going to be pretty interesting. Moving on, we have Dark Destroyer. I just want to see it come back because I love Cosmos, obviously, and yeah, I just want to see Dark Destroyer come back. So that's all I want, Konami. If you could bring that back, I don't really care about what I just said early on. Nah, but just all kidding aside, Dark Destroyer is an interesting card. Maybe you bring it back at 2. Cosmos haven't actually been making too big of an impact itself. Moving on, very controversial card now. We have Maxx. Just ban it. It's been too long. It's served its time. It's been as long as Veiler, but Veiler hasn't been played so much. We have all these newer hand traps now. I'm not saying to ban all the hand traps, that would be pure chaos, but I feel like Maxx has served its time. It blatantly just stops an entire play, and it's just terrible of a card. It's a poorly designed card, but of course we couldn't see how the game would turn out as it is right now, so with the ban list even being a thing, you might as well just hit Maxx and ban it right out. Moving on, we have Dinosaurs, Miscellaneousaurus. Maybe it's too soon to bring it back, but I feel like with Danglong and the Earth True King being hit, who cares? Just bring back Miscellaneousaurus. I think, you know, they deserve it at 2 or something. Clean up the ban list a bit. I don't want to see too many cards there. Then we have Grand Mole. Grand Mole, just bring it back at 3. No need to really explain, it doesn't really do much. We have Canahawk. Canahawk is a card that a lot of Ritual Beast players want to see come back, so just give it back to them. I mean, it doesn't really do much anyway. Give them at 2, test the waters, be a little more experimental. This is 2018, try out some new things. But moving on, we have Book of Moon. Just bring it back at 3. What's the point of hitting it at 1? Because the thing is, Link monsters are unaffected. You can't even flip Link monsters, so who cares? Next, we have Limiter Removal. I think it would be pretty interesting to see Limiter Removal come back to 3. Definitely changes the game, and I think with more quick plays, like obviously Book of Moon and Limiter Removal, I think it will play more into the whole psychology of the game, of actually having to think before you act, whereas these days people don't even play that many traps anymore. So yeah, that would be pretty interesting to see. Of course it only works for machine decks, but you know. Moving on with Mind Control or Brain Control. Just bring it back to as many as you can, because I feel like they target anyway. A lot of monsters are designed to be untargetable, so who cares? Just bring it back and test the waters. Next we have Sacrifice. Again, just give Cleese their support. Who cares? Then moving on, we have Bottomless, Compulse, and Torrential. These cards were considered the Trap Trinity back in 2011 or 2010. They were very prevalent traps, pretty much considered staples in a deck, and all 3 of them were actually at 2 until all of a sudden they got hit to 1. But I feel like at this particular point in time, you could easily just bring them back to 3. Not many people play traps to begin with anyway. Same applies for Ring of Destruction. It got errated, and now you can't use it to finish off your opponent, so why not just bring it back to 3? If people want to play 3 of these in a deck, then they might experience a few dead cards, but let's just make the ban list a little more neat. Moving on, we have Solemn Warning. Maybe bring it back to 2, that would be pretty interesting. These days it's easy to recuperate from These days it's easy to recuperate after having one of your monsters or one of your summons negated. Who cares, you know? And the thing is, Solemn Warning is technically a -0. It's just a trade with someone, you know? Technically it's a -1 because you're paying life points to get rid of a monster, but the thing is you're also losing a card, and I think hand advantage is a pretty big deal. But moving on, we have Atlantean Dragoons. Just bring it back. Mermails don't really make too big of a play. Card Trooper, it's too slow. You need a normal summon it. Just bring it back to 3. Bryonic, the Ice Barrier card, not the Necros card. It got errated, so just bring it back at 2. Like, not many people are even bothering to play it. Actually, no, it is at 2. Just bring it back to 3. Not many people are playing 2 Bryonic in the deck, so if you bring back 3, I don't think anybody would really care. Next, we have TG Hyper Librarian. I think this card could potentially come back at 3. Most people are still sticking to just playing 1. Some people do play 2, but I feel like you could definitely bring it back. Of course, one card I have to mention is Level Eater. Level Eater could potentially get hit because Level Eater I think like has more potential than Hyper Librarian, because Librarian is a synchro monster, whereas Level Eater is just so generic and can be played in all style of decks. I think it deserves to get hit at this point, because in the future, sooner or later, there's going to be a deck that over abuses Level Eater. Moving on, we have El Shadow Fusion. Just bring it back. It came back to 2, and Shadow still hasn't been making any impact, so let's just bring it back at 3. Give Shadows a comeback, just like Necros. And last card, we have Ojama Trio. You're giving your opponent free link materials, so who cares? Just bring it back to 3. I think it's not too big of a deal. But we're going to be talking about a few cards now that might be a little more interesting. So now let's talk about Grinder Golem. I think that card should definitely get banned. There's too many loops now, and it's just way too crazy. Having 3 firewalls and Grinder Golem, it's just making things a little insane. Things are going out of control. Speaking of firewall, I don't think it should get banned, but it did get limited in the OCG, so Firewall Dragon could get limited in the TCG as well. Same thing for El Shadow Construct, I could see that coming back to 1. But moving on to specific cards I want to see limited. Spiral Resort. Spirals have been like a zoo phenomenon. Zoos got severely hit bit by bit, and I feel like spirals are heading in that direction. So if you're gonna limit anything, limit Spiral Resort, limit Spiral Master Plan, and I think that will balance things out. It will work just the way zoos did, and it won't be too harsh. They could potentially just ban it, but I think it would definitely restrict things a lot. But with Spiral Resort going to 1, people can still play Terraformings, which again, Terraforming is one of those controversial cards that I think could get hit as well. But Spiral Resort getting hit to 1, people can still play Pseudo Space. Pseudo Space is still actually quite a prevalent card. It's relatively easy to find. If you buy the Machine Reactor Structure deck, you can get it as a common. So you could hit Resort to 1 and then play 3 Pseudo Space. That's still pretty good in the Spiral deck. Of course, you just can't search. And we have Trickster Reincarnation. A lot of people want to see that at 1. I want to see it at 1. Potentially even getting banned, but that's far too quick. That's jumping the gun here, and it hasn't even been reprinted yet. So right now I feel like getting hit to 1 would be pretty appropriate for the meta. I think it would definitely make things a little more balanced. Semi-limited, perhaps Terraforming, start dropping it down, maybe eventually to 1 as well. Card of Demise is also another card. It's just producing too many pluses, and I think if you could do something about that, then that would definitely be a thing. To end things off with this whole prediction, I guess, True Dracos. True Dracos, Masterpiece and Dragonic Diagram. At this point, True Dracos are no longer broken, and I feel like both those cards are safe. I feel like they're heading in the same direction as BAs, where they're just like Dante. They're gonna be invincible here. They're not gonna ever get hit by the ban list. But I could all be wrong, and yeah, you guys can prove it to me by commenting down below what you guys actually think. Hope you guys have a great new year, and also hope you guys actually like the new revamp of the channel. Made a few changes, and I think that would be pretty interesting, but I'll see you next time.
Burning the bridge that keeps us. I'm here and I'm feeling fearless. Exaggerated, that's what you assume. The story's over.